take the blanket over him. That the governor heard from sitting in his own cabin. Now, and McClary had given the permission to him, and McClary told, be quick about it. McClary told him, McClary had given the permission that he could take the blanket. At about 10:51 a.m., Stephens was more than a little surprised to see a grey regulation blanket wrapped around Evans's shoulders, and he frowned slightly and looked at the examinee more closely. So Evans, when he just looked inside through the peephole at around 10:51 a.m. Now this time you should mark the timing, because you know that this might be important. Lots of MCQ will come, so that might be the question also, that when actually Evans saw that when actually Stephens saw that Evans had wrapped himself with the blanket. So answer should be at 10:51 a.m. So he saw that that a grey regulation blanket. What is regulation blanket? Actually, okay, I will get to your question. I will give answer after this class. I will get to your question regarding that publication of result after this class. Now, what is regulation blanket? The regulation blanket means the blanket that is provided to the to the prisoners. Okay, this is regulation blanket, and Stephens was very much surprised to see that Evans' shoulder, that Evans has covered himself with that regulation blanket, and now he more closely, very minutely, Stephens was looking at the examinee. But Evans, the pen still between his teeth, was staring just as vacantly as before. But Evans, there was no change in Evans's posture. He was sitting with his pen in between his teeth, and he was looking vacantly towards the door, blankly beneath a blanket, and his eyes was looking very blank. Means from his eyesight it was very much clear that he did not know the answer of this question. Should Stephens report the slight irregularity? Now this question came to Stephens' mind, that should he inform these to Jackson, the prison officer, the senior prison officer, that Evans had covered himself with the blanket? Anything at all fishy hadn't Jackson said, and Jackson told that anything fishy means if you got anything suspicious, then Jackson is the senior prison officer, Jackson told Stephens, the junior prison officer, to intimate him immediately if Stephens could see anything suspicious. So it was a suspicious thing, it was a little fishy, that why Evans actually covered himself with the blanket. So the question came in Stephens' mind whether he should intimate this to Jackson about this. He looked through the peephole once again, and even as he did so, Evans pulled the dirty blanket more closely to himself. And when actually Stephens was looking through the peephole, he saw that Evans was actually took the blanket more closely, as if he was feeling very cold inside. Was he planning a sudden Batman leap to suffocate McClary in the blanket? This question came to Stephens' mind, that what Evans was going to do. Whether it was Evans' plan that he would give a Batman leap over McClary, who was sitting just opposite him, and he would suffocate McClary with the help of that blanket. Was it the plan that Stephen was thinking about? Don't be trapped. Trapped means a fool. Now again, he told himself, actually he was giving satisfaction to himself. No, I must not think so foolishly. There was never any such a sun on this side of the prison, no heating either during the summer months, and it could get quite chilly in some of the cells. And Evans got the answer himself, no, I should not think so foolishly, that Evans was preparing for a Batman jump to suffocate McClary. I should think, and he told, this is very natural, because this side of this part of this cell, it doesn't get sufficient sunlight, and the room was made of the stone, so it must be very cold even if the summer months. So that is very natural thing, that Evans was sitting in this cell, and he was feeling cold, and that is the reason that he had he had covered himself with a blanket. Stephens decided to revert to his earlier every minute observation. Revert means to regress. Regress, opposite of progress. So Stephens decided, no, I should stay where I was, and he started his observation after every minute. At 11 past 20 a.m., the receiver once more crackled across the silence of the governor's office, and McCleary informed Evans that only 5 minutes remained. At 11:25, the governor actually heard that the receiver crackled in his chamber, and through that receiver the governor heard that McCleary was giving intimation to Evans that only 5 minutes left of the examination. The examination was almost over now, but something still gnawed away quietly in the governor's mind. Gnawed, this should be the gnawed. G should be silent here. That G-N-A-W-E-D, that pronunciation should be gnawed. The examination was almost over, but something still gnawed away quietly in the governor's mind. Yes, only 5 minutes left, so they could expect that without any hazards, the examination will be completed within 5 minutes. But still, something gnawed in governor's mind means the governor was not feeling very much comfortable. Something uneasy feeling he had in his mind. He reached for the phone once more, and again he reached for the phone because he wanted to make a phone call. At 11 past 22 a.m., Jackson shouted along the corridor to Stephens, and he actually made a phone call to Jackson, the senior prison officer, and Jackson called Evans at 11 past 22 a.m. The governor wanted to speak with him, and governor, actually it was a phone call from governor. Hurry, man. Here the senior prison officer Jackson answered to junior prison, actually told this to junior prison officer Stephen, was standing constantly just outside the exam hall, exam cell. Now, Stephens picked up the phone apprehensively. Apprehensively means in an agitated way, because he did not know whose phone call. Oh, sorry. Here, Stephens here Jackson has told the governor wanted to talk to him, and you know Stephen was a junior prison officer. He was recruited in the job not many days ago, so he was panicked because what the governor wanted to tell him. So with that hesitation, with the apprehensively, he just had taken the receiver and listened to the rapidly spoken orders, and he heard that governor had given few rapid orders to him. Stephens himself was to accompany McCleary to the main prison gates. Understood? Stephens personally was to make absolutely sure that the door was locked on Evans after McCleary had left the cell. Understood? So immediately Stephens got two orders from the governor. First order, after the examination, when McCleary would come out, he should accompany McCleary to the main gate. Second order, as soon as McCleary would come out from the cell, Stephens would make it sure that the door of the cell must be locked properly. So these two orders, these might also come. How many orders he got at 11 past 22 a.m. Okay, from the governor, that he got two orders, and the governor actually told him over telephone to governor that these two orders he had to follow. Understood? And the governor told, and yes, he understood what he would have to do after this. At 11:25 a.m., the governor heard the final exchanges, and at 11:25, the governor heard the exchanges. McCleary told, "Stop writing, please." At 11:25. This might also come, that when the examination was completed at 11:25. No silence. Now McCleary, "Put your seats in order and see they are correctly numbered." McCleary told, as you are very much accustomed that during examination you take lots of loose seats, and with the teachers who actually play the role of invigilator, we give you the order to arrange the paper properly. Here McCleary was giving the same order to Evans, that properly arrange your paper properly. "Put your seats in order and see all the correctly numbered." Silence. Now scrapping the chairs and tables, and the governor could listen that a chair and a table are being dragged. Now Evans, "Thank you very much, sir." McCleary, "All right, was it?" Now McCleary asked, when Evans told thank you very much to McCleary, McCleary asked, "Was it all right, was it?" Means McCleary was asking Evans that whether it was a nice exam. Evans, not too bad." Evans told, "Oh, it was not too bad." Now McCleary, "Good. Mr. Stephens, now from there McClary had actually taken the paper of Evans. Evans had completed his examination, and McClary now called Stephens, who was standing outside very loudly. The governor heard the door clang for the last time. The examination was over. So at 11:25 the examination was over, and the governor sitting in his chamber through that microphone, he could listen that it was a declaration and the examination was over, and the door was clanged. Clang means metallic sound. A metallic sound was there because the examination was over. How did he got on? How did he get on, do you think? Asked Stephen as he walked beside McClary to the main gates. And as Stephen had already got the order that he had to accompany McClary towards the main gate, so after the accomplishment of the examination, actually Stephens was walking by the side of McClary because he was taking him to the main gate, and in that way Stephen asked McClary that how was the examination. Oh, I cannot think he is distinguished himself. I'm afraid. Now here, ouch, here with that expression, McClary told, ouch, I can't think he is distinguished himself. He told, I can't think that he could distinguish himself means he could separate or he could have a good result. I am afraid. I am afraid means McClary thought, because he was sitting during the whole time when Evans was writing in the examination, and McClary told that he was afraid whether Evans could pass the exam. His Scots accent seemed broader than ever, and his long black overcoat, reaching almost to his knees, fostered the illusion that he had suddenly grown slimmer. This is very important. His Scots accent seemed broader than ever. He had a very Scots accent. It was broader. And his long black overcoat, he was wearing a long black overcoat, reaching almost to his knees, fostered the illusion. Fostered means it actually aroused the illusion that he had suddenly grown slimmer. So when McClary came outside, it seemed that somehow McClary had gone slimmer in these 2 hours. Stephens felt pleased that the governor had asked him and not Jackson to see McClary. All the premises and all in the morning had gone pretty well, and Stephens was really satisfied with his job, because actually he was more satisfied that governor had given him the actually this might be very important duty, that governor had assigned him the duty to take McClary to the main gate, and he was very happy for the duty he had performed in that morning, and it was a nice way. But something stopped him from making him way directly to the canteen for a belated cup of coffee. Now he had to stand over there up to 11:25. Then after the completion, he had to take McClary to the main gate, so it was late. Now he was thinking that he should go to the canteen for having a belated cup of coffee, because originally he takes a cup of coffee before the time, but today he had to perform the duty, so he did not have that scope to take the coffee before. So after completion his duty, when McClary went out of the jail, now he thought that I should go to the coffin to take a belated cup of coffee. Now he wanted to take just look at Evans. It was like a program he had seen on TV about a woman who could never really convince herself that she had locked the front door when she had gone to bed, after she had got up 12, 15, sometimes 20 times to check the bolts. Now, Evans actually decided to go to the canteen directly, but still when he was going, he was not satisfied. He thought that I should go to check in the cell once more, because when McClary came out, it was nice, no problem over there. So he wanted to check once more, and it happened that he had seen a serial. In a serial, a woman was there that when after actually in the night after taking dinner, when the woman used to go to bed, he used to actually lock his main door. But after going to the bed, the woman was not sure whether he had properly locked the door or not. So he had to come out for 10 times, 15 times, even 20 times to check the bolt whether he had locked it properly or not. So even actually it happens in Stephens also. But Stephens was thinking that no, when he came, it is true that when he came everything was correct, everything was right. So still he was not satisfied, and that is why he actually decided to go to check that I should check whether everything was everything was correct or not. So before going to the canteen, he decided to go to the cell and see what Evans was doing after the examination, to see it. He re-entered the wing, made his way along to Evans's cell and opened the peephole once more. So actually he had been standing there during the time of examination. He had been watching through the peephole for every 1 minute intervals, and then everything was completed. McClary had gone out. Now Evans has actually Stephens had come to have a last look at what Evans was doing after the examination. So he opened the peephole and he looked through it, what he had seen. Oh no, Christ, no! There sprawled back in Evans's chair was a man. For a semi-second, Stephens thought it must be Evans. A grey regulation blanket slipping from his shoulders, the front of his closely cropped, irregularly turbed hair awased with fierce red blood which had dripped already through the small black beard and was even now spreading horribly over the white clerical collar and down into the black clerical front. Stephens was so much shocked to see what had happened inside. He saw that in the chair, that what he had seen, that they are sprawled back in Evans's chair. Sprawled back means bent back. Bent back. You know, in Evans's chair was a man. A man was sitting, and for the very first sight, it seemed to Evans, to Stephens. A grey regulation blanket slipping from his shoulders, as a blanket was slipping from his shoulders, and the front of that closely cropped, irregularly turbed hair, and the man is having very closely cropped hair, irregularly cut. Awase means flooded or covered with fierce red blood, that in front of this head, which is covered with that closely cropped hair, it was flooded with red blood which had dripped already through his small black beard, and the blood was coming out from his head, and it has covered the black beard, and was even now spreading horribly over the white clerical collar. The man was wearing a clerical collar which was white in color, and the blood was also covering that white clerical collar and down into the black clerical front, and the blood was actually coming down from head. The man actually, he was flooded with the blood. That Evans, actually Stephens saw this horrible scenario through that peephole. Now you could understand what should be Evans's condition then, because actually it was his duty to see there. It was his duty that nothing would happen. Stephens shouted wildly for Jackson, and the words appeared to penetrate the curtain of blood that veiled McClary's ears, for the minister's hand felt feebly for a handkerchief from his pocket and held it to his bleeding head, the blood seeping slowly through the white linen. Now Stephens immediately shouted wildly what he had seen for Jackson, and at this, the man was sitting there, McClary, as if the sound had penetrated the veil of bloods, the veil McClary's ear, because the blood was also covering and coming to that ear, and as Stephens shouted, the blood penetrated the veil of the sound penetrate means entered into his ear, into McClary's ear through that veil of blood, and immediately he had taken out a white, that Stephen could see. He just had taken out a white handkerchief made of linen. Linen is that material with which the handkerchief was made, and immediately he pressed it on his head, and really pressed it his head, and it became red immediately. He gave a long low moan and tried to speak. Here moan means a sound, groaning, a sound of pain, that he heard McClary was actually a sound was coming out of pain, and he tried to speak. But his voice trailed away, and by the time Jackson had arrived and dispatched Stephens to ring the police and the ambulance, the handkerchief was a sticky, squelchy whoosh of cloth, and immediately Immediately Jackson, the senior prison officer, he came and he told Stephens to go and immediately inform the police, immediately inform the ambulance. And by that time the handkerchief was a sticky, quenchy ooze of cloth. Actually it becomes sticky because it has been soaken, it has been wet by blood. Quenchy weight means just what should I say, wasted cloth, that the clothes we used to rub the floor, okay, of cloth. It was just like this. It was a white linen handkerchief, but it was just like that wasted cloth. McClary slowly raised himself, his face twisted tightly with pain. Now McClary actually, his face was getting twisted because of pain. From his facial expression, it was obvious that he was feeling extreme pain. And he wanted to tell, didn't worry about the ambulance, man, I'm all right, get the police. He told didn't worry means did not worry about the ambulance. He was telling to Jackson and Stephens, and he told that call the police, get the police first. Ambulance was not so much important because I'm all right. I know where he wanted to tell that I know where he had escaped or where he had gone. He closed his eyes and another drip of blood splashed like a huge red raindrop on his wooden floor. And when he closed his eyes, from that from the eyelids, a big drop of blood had fallen on the door. Means Evans must have heard him. Evans must have hurt him on his head, and it has actually made a wound over there, and from that wound blood was coming out. This was the condition. Now his hand felt along the table, found the German question paper and grasped it tightly in his blood-stained hand, and he got the German question paper. Evans, who had escaped from the jail, he had not taken the German question paper with him. So with that blood-stained, stain means blood besmeared hand, he had taken this tightly blood-stained. Get the governor. I know where Evans. And he was telling to Evans, Stephens, that you just must call governor because I know where he has gone. Almost immediately sirens were sounded. Prison officers barked orders. Puzzled prisoners pushed their way along the corridors. Doors were banged and bolted, and phones were ringing everywhere. Means it was a catastrophe. Actually, just like a fire, this news had spread all over the jail, all over the prison, and the officers, they become very much excited. They were giving orders, sirens were being sounded, and the puzzled other prisoners, they were also very much puzzled. They were looking through that corridors, and the doors were banged and bolted, and phones were ringing everywhere. It was a catastrophe had happened. And within a minute, either side, his face now streaked and caked with drying blood, was greeted in the prison, eared by the governor, perplexed and grim. And within a minute, Evans, actually that wounded McClary had come out. His face was here, streaked means covered, and caked with dying blood. Caked with means as the blood, his face was covered with blood. Now there was a broken mark was there in that blood. Okay, it has been caked, as it has dried out. Okay, it has dried out, so as if it's a caked. This has been stated as caked with dying blood. Was greeted in the prison yard by the governor, and the governor came, and governor was perplexed and grim. Grim means very serious. The governor was very confused. So I feel you have understood so far. So today we are leaving it. Next class we will continue over there. Have you understood?